Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Message in a Bottle. I'm Pilar,
Paloma here.
and we are two sisters who live far apart and have for a very long time. So we love to connect through what we call message in a bottles, oftentimes voice notes. That's why we started this podcast. So we want to invite the rest of the world to enjoy some of these conversations. So that's kind of the origins of our podcast. So welcome. How has your week been, Paloma?
Yeah, it's been pretty good actually. The weather has been absolutely amazing, and what that has led to is me spending more time in the park. And the other day I finally started my knitting journey.
Love
I
it.
have some needles and some yarn, and for a while I've been really wanting to, just like touch something, make something with my hands. I feel like all the girlies these days are knitting, so I joined the crew. So yeah, for the first time I went to the park and brought all my equipment and making things.
What are you making?
Well, the original idea was to make a Sophie scarf. I know, couldn't be more basic than that, but I think it's really cute, and I think
I
it'd
don't
be
know what
very.
a Sophie scarf is, actually.
It's low-key kind of like the thing you're wearing.
Oh, okay. Like a little something around the neck.
Yes,
Like
a
small
little.
triangle scarf.
Yeah, like a little longer than that one. We have matching ones, LOL, because our dad gifted us both those in respective colors. We've been used to that for our whole lives, but I don't mind. So
Here
yeah,
for it.
it gained a lot of popularity, I think, recently because the pattern is very straightforward
Okay,
to
nice.
knit. So, and I think that there's been a lot of the kind of like headscarf little things in the winter that have been very trendy. So that was the impetus, but I missed the boat on this winter. So it will have to be put into the rotation for next year. Hopefully the trend isn't over.
Cute. I think knitting is timeless. Our
It
dad's
is.
been a knitter for a really long time. He knits pretty.
Well, he taught me how to knit probably
Yeah.
10 years ago. So I
Yeah.
have the basic knit stitch down. I never have had learned to what they call cast on, start the project, and I don't know how to cast off. So I watched a YouTube video, and obviously I'll need to add more stitches into my repertoire.
I always found it kind of boring, but I think I might be ready for that at the stage in life that I'm at. I think I could sink my teeth back into knitting. The last time I tried was a decade ago or more, probably 15 years ago. So I'm keen to hear more about how your journey goes, and maybe I'll try my hand at knitting too.
Yeah, I love it. The other day, I just popped a podcast in, something to listen to, and then something to do with my hands. And then I was just existing in the space. So I thought it's a really nice little activity.
I
So
love
we'll
that.
keep updaed on that.
You can share your project.
Oh my gosh, yes. Reveal. No time soon, though. What about you? How's your week?
It's been good. I got to catch up with an old friend. She lives in London, so we don't, and our lives, have gone in really different directions, but we've been friends since freshman year of college, and we've been through a lot of different phases of our lives together. We met in college, and then we taught English abroad in Spain, and then actually she was in Vietnam teaching English when we were in Thailand teaching English.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to experience some amazing parts of the world together, and yeah, she's doing really well, and it's just really amazing, again, with this podcast, connecting with the people that you care about, near and far, a lot of times far. So yeah,
A lot of times far.
Yeah.
And we've actually traveled together with me as well.
Yes. Yep. Done trips together. Yeah. So
Yeah, she's part of the fam.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm so glad you guys got to catch up. And it's super meaningful to take the time to do it, even when a long time has passed and when the distance is still there. So glad you all made it happen.
Absolutely. Yes. It's nice.
Amazing. Well, I think we have a lot on our agenda for today, so I'm gonna keep us moving right along. We were figuring out what we wanted to share with our audience this week, and we both have been messaging for basically since it happened, a couple of days, because I think our feeds and our minds have been rolling around with everything related to Coachella.
Yep.
The massive For anyone who isn't aware, it is a massive multi-weekend, multi-day music festival with I would say, the creme de la creme of pop culture and pop artists of the time. And yeah, we just wanted to, yeah, get in there and join the conversation, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get to modern day Coachella, I kind of learned recently about the history of Coachella, and I thought it would be really interesting to share because it's maybe the antithesis of what the festival has become. So let me set the stage. The year is 1993. Pearl Jam is beefing with Ticketmaster because they're not happy that Ticketmaster is charging all of these unfair fees for their fans to see them. So they're refusing to play at Ticketmaster owned venues, and they have a monopoly on all of the venues in LA. So their producers, organizers, Golden Voice found the Empire Polo Club in Indio for Pearl Jam to play a show at. They play the show. It's a huge success. 25,000 people show up. And yeah, it was like a great time. So this was kind of proof of concept that you can throw a festival 2 hours outside of LA, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it can be a great venue. So those the same organizers, Golden Voice, decided to start a festival there. And the first Coachella was held in 1999. Tickets were only $50. The headliners were Beck, Rage Against the Machine, Tool. So a lot of rock, electronic, alternative acts. And yeah, I just find it really ironic and crazy that it was born out of a desire to be independent, low fee ticketing, et cetera, and like where it's evolved.
There's so many places to go with this, but it's not a unique fight, ultimately. The plight of an artist, and especially musicians, against capitalism, essentially, right?
Right.
Because these artists have to exist within the system, and what sacrifices do they need to make in order to be successful, in order to make a living? And I think recently, was it Adele, that she was anti a bunch of these like big ticketing and like the mainstream like auditoriums and stuff, and essentially produced as a pop-up venue to exist for her
That's
show. Do you know what
right.
I'm talking about?
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a story that still reigns true today, where a lot of artists feel this deep frustration, and then there's this reality of opportunity. So I've been thinking a lot about these big major events that people, if there's two things kind of happening simultaneously. People can be a bit frustrated with the fact of the matter, right? Even something like the Grammys, the Oscars, these like mainstream awards shows, people sometimes recently have been elevating the fact that they're not fair, the fact
Yeah.
that there's maybe, the systems in place for the voting is inequitable, and yet it is an honor still. And yet those things are like for the first, I think one of the main things that we've been seeing a lot about is the fact that Carol G was the first ever Latina to grace the stage as the headliner at Coachella. And it's crazy because the US is obviously a country with a massive Hispanic Latino population. And then on top of that, it takes place in California, which is, I think, one of this, I don't know the stats off my head, but a state with a very, very, very high population percentage of Hispanics and Latinos again. So it's both things potentially, where maybe, and I wonder if some of the artists who are participating even now know that history and how they feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's this eternal relationship of how art interacts with capitalism. I think that's those two worlds rubbing together and how they
Totally.
interact. And actually the first Coachella was not profitable. The organizers lost between $750,000 to about $1 million.
Wow.
So that might lend us to, how did we end up here? Well, they needed to become profitable, and how have they moved towards that profitability? And where, in this short amount of time, I mean, this is 1999, this is 27 years ago that this festival started, and it's gone on this very crazy journey of transformation of what the maybe initial idea was to like where we are now.
Truly. And I mean, I went to college in California for all 4 years. And it was a big part of the conversation. I remember
Uh-huh.
I never actually have been. You haven't been,
No,
right?
I haven't been. And you know what? I went to freshman year of college in California as well. And
Yeah.
I wanted to go. And even then, and this was what, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
um, I felt like I couldn't afford to go. It was still like kind of expensive. So that's insane.
Yeah, it is expensive and it was expensive. And likewise in college, I never had a chance to go. And I remember at my school, it was actually kind of fun the weekends that Coachella was happening because campus would kind of clear out of all maybe the hyper wealthy and hyper hyper in the scene kids, and people would throw what they call like no-chella parties.
Okay.
So it kind of thematic, oh, let's have a good time, let's be a fake music festival, no-chella. So I think, I don't know, for what it's worth, that was always fun to partake in.
Yeah. And to contextualize, we both went to private liberal arts colleges where like most of our classmates
Yes.
are very able to afford Coachella. Right.
Major wealth happening in both
Yeah,
situations, yes.
right. But from a marketing perspective, I mean, it's a world that we both exist in. I work at a marketing agency. I'm a creative at a marketing agency. Paloma is in events. So I think we're both also very interested in and impressed by and maybe inspired by a lot of the marketing efforts at Coachella these days.
And maybe overwhelmed too. It's both. I think at least my own journey with becoming intrigued by big brand marketing, it is a twofold component, because what is so fascinating about it to me is how much work, thought, and dedication is put into every component that comprises a campaign, whether that be for the launch of a product, whether that be to produce an activation, whether that be for a commercial spot, what have you. All those components, it's so incredible to me to learn about everything that it takes to make that happen, and all of the tracking data decisions that are impacting it. But then at the same time, my background is as an environmentalist and someone who cares deeply about sustainability. I used to work in public policy, meaning I used to help try to make better laws to improve primarily sustainability. Sometimes it's depended on the job, but that's the kind of core of it and what I was so passionate about. And so those two things for me collide a lot. And
For
as I've
sure.
kind of pivoted into this world a little bit, both in a personal interest and also professional, it's sometimes challenging to see the excess,
Mhm.
to see the over the top nature of it, to see, and I know now working in events how much manpower it takes behind the scenes to physically put some of that stuff together. So it's
Right.
it's awe both in both directions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it keeps the wheels churning, like thinking about all of the different components. And it does, I mean, there's benefits of that. There's a whole economy built around it. And definitely jobs that are being supported, industries that are being supported. But yeah, also the footprint of the excess and who has access to that excess as well.
Yeah,
Um, the separation of classes is very distinct, um
yeah,
in what they've called like now like the influencer Olympics essentially. Like
sure.
that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it'd be helpful for like some of our audience to clue them in a little bit. I feel like you and I speak the same language and we've been also sending each other a ton of TikToks and reels and stuff like that. But there's all of the stuff that's happening at Coachella around marketing. I would say, fall into two or three categories. One that is really crazy is all these influencer houses. So
Mhm.
basically, a bunch of influencers get paid for by brands to, my understanding is, get the full package
Yes.
deal, the ticket, the flight, the accommodation, and then they show up at a house, some probably like a mansion in Palm Springs, somewhere
Mhm.
near-ish to Indio, and they get so much stuff. Like I have
Yeah.
seen videos of the amount of stuff, products,
Mhm.
etc. It's like you go into the bathroom and there's a full suite of brand new skincare.
Skincare,
There's a whole bunch of makeup. Then they go
free
into the bedroom,
luggage.
luggage, yeah, robes,
Right.
slippers, pajamas, jewelry, and like thousands of dollars, like a
Mhm.
retail value of stuff. Because the whole idea, right, is then they wear it, they post about it, and
Right.
that is how influencer marketing works.
Yes.
which again, this might be very rudimentary for a lot of people, but I do think we have a variety of people listening in and want to make sure we touch on that. So that's one aspect of what's happening. And then there's the whole like celebrity component of all these celebrities, either that have brands that have
Mhm.
activations that are happening there
Right.
or who are, and then attend. So
Right.
it's a very cloudy kind of place these days.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, so you talked about the houses, but then I think a lot of these content creators, influencers, people who have a following online are invited to like these essentially pop-ups that are invite
Yes.
only that exist in tandem with the festival, like usually maybe in the daytime before like the big headliners and stuff come on later in the day. But, there's some good examples of, I think we can talk about brand specific that are maybe the stars of the show this year. I think Rhode is a huge one because it's owned by Hailey Bieber, whose husband was headlining, and they did a very coordinated marketing effort with his music and then her launching a new line of like pimple patches and under eye patches and stuff that was launching at Coachella with this, separate little area that only certain people are able to access and get a bunch of free stuff and have the road experience with like private music, private food, all of that kind of stuff, but seemingly successful because I mean we're talking about it. I think visually it's always been a brand that I think does a really really fantastic job of marketing.
So I actually
um
wonder, maybe I'm sure we could find this information out, but I'm curious if if they're being managed by the same agency or have similar folks involved with 818, which is Kendall Jenner's Tequila company,
mhm,
because, well, they're best friends, really close friends.
right.
And for the past few years, there's been a lot of collaboration between these activations and pop-ups for both brands
Uh-huh.
simultaneously. So I saw this year, it was kind of a dual situation where co-branded, there was some sort of, fancy cup drink that you get that's made with the A18 tequila that comes with a
Mhm.
cute little bottle of it. And then also one of the like Rhode lip glosses. And I feel like they both play by the same playbook, which is a very, to your point, curated, thought through marketing efforts that have been very, very, very successful. And 818 as well at Coachella has been a shining star this year.
Mhm.
So I don't know. For me, I think the interesting stuff is how much these like ancillary events have added to the volume of what's happening. Not only is there a gargantuan music festival that is multiple weekends, multiple days, that is happening in full swing with everything that contains, but also in every peripheral area, there are all these pop-ups. And my understanding is that they have artists come and perform at
Yeah.
those specialty events. So those are all like miniature productions that are all on the side of this big thing. And it's
Right.
crazy.
It boggles the mind. And for all intents and purposes, like, I understand it. I think it's cool that brands do it. I think it's smart. It makes sense to, um, that's a great way to get exposure is to invite folks that have a following online to participate in the brand. I think some brands are open, it sounds like, to the public. Like I think Gap had a pop-up
Mm.
within the festival that was accessible to the public. Some other ones I'm not totally sure on the list of like who had exclusive events and who had inclusive events or events that theoretically are accessible to the general public. But yeah, I guess my biggest hope in this the latest of late stage capitalism moments that we're living in would be that brands would have the goal of maybe staying somewhat true to the festival sense of bringing people together instead of
Mm.
separating them and feeling very like certain people get to go over here and certain, it just to me that feels very very much like the antithesis of the ethos of what a music festival is or should be in an ideal world.
Especially one that was started by a bunch of artists who just wanted to have the average person be able to
Mhm.
access and hear them play live. And I agree. I think that that's my hope. I hope that also folks are enjoying their time there and not feeling that, not throwing elbows to find a good spot on the dance floor, and are excited to bump into strangers. Like I remember when we used to go to big concerts and more festival like type events when we were younger. the kind of spontaneity that could
Mhm.
happen, to me, that's the
Yeah,
magic.
that's the
It's
magic.
the having a random conversation with someone in the bathroom line, and next thing you know, you're
Yep.
dancing with all of their friends and you're staying up till 6 in the morning and then get invited over here. And I really hope that that essence is still there.
Certainly. And I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But I do think technology has changed so much. And I was watching this amazing documentary that I highly recommend to our audience that was made in 2006 about Coachella. And it shows how different going to Coachella in 2006 was versus now. And basically, a lot of the times they were interviewing people that couldn't find their friends because you
They
just didn't
just
have,
get, yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
just like, I don't know where my friends are. And I'm at this huge festival. But then that leads to the spontaneity, right? And then you're like really in the moment. You don't really have a choice. You're not like people definitely were taking pics with digital cameras and stuff, but phones were not at the level. So it was, yeah, it wasn't, you, you were there. You were there in person and you were just like rocking out, experiencing this. And maybe it's a bummer to lose your friends and it's great to have a phone. Maybe you can meet new friends or the spontaneity and the beauty of
Yeah.
that.
One last anecdote that relates to this before we close out, even though I know we could talk endlessly on this topic, we could fill a full episode about it, but we have more to tackle, is I don't know if you saw this, but Pintrest gained a lot of attention because their big pop-up activation mandated that every single person that come in the door lock their phone in one of those little baggies. I don't know exactly how it works. There's either a code or a physical lock or something.
Okay.
And to just come in and experience it together. And so
Mhm.
there is elements of these brands, of these companies acknowledging the magic that
Uh-huh.
can come about when you eliminate that distraction,
Mhm.
and when you come and you're there and that is all the only thing that matters in that moment. And that's what's cool about it. The only photos that exist on the internet of that event are more like formally taken photos, probably by the production company once it was physically set up, not a bunch of videos within the actual inside of it. And think that's sick.
Yeah, someone at Pinterest had that vision as well. That was their
They
hope,
sure
and
did.
that's their contribution and pop off. I think that's a cool thing to explore.
Yep, absolutely. Well, maybe next year, Coachella.
I'd like to be doing some sort of creative for a marketing campaign for Coachella. We can manifest that.
Likewise, I'd like to be helping produce maybe one of these pop-ups. So
Love.
we love to dream big here. Cat
Hell
message in a
yeah.
bottle.
Speak it into existence, baby. That's the only way.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right. Are we going to hard pivot into our next topic?
We hard pivot audience. Are you ready?
Let's rock. All right.
Let's do
We're
it.
going to take you back. Put your little time machine on. Get in your little time machine. We're going back to, get in, kids. We're going to 2016. The year is 2016. Just take yourself there. It was a beautiful time. Paloma and I decided, and I need to kind of remind ourselves why we decided this, but we decided we're going to teach abroad in Thailand together. I had been teaching English in Madrid for the 2 years prior to that. And yeah, so why did we decide to go to Thailand?
Yeah, well, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the actual what it was, I just want to preface for our audience. Most weeks we've been really doing a musing of the week, and this time we really, as we continue to explore this podcast and bring our stories to you all, we wanted to share a little bit more of us, more of things that have formed our relationship with each other, and examples of instances in which we've lived really far apart and what that relationship has looked like and really close together. And so this example of us spending time teaching abroad together in Thailand is an example of the only time we've really lived super together, and it was under such a specific circumstance that I think I safely can say on behalf of both of us shaped our relationship forever and
Yeah.
our own relationships with ourselves forever.
Yeah, certainly. It was a crazy formative experience. Very cool, very different. Definitely highly recommend to anyone out there if you're ever thinking about living in a country outside of where you grew up and have the opportunity to do it, go for it. It's so formative.
Yep.
So
We'd love to hear from our audience as well in the comments if you've had the opportunity to live outside of the country in which you were born, and just throw it in the comments and maybe share the impetus or how you were able to do that. Teaching abroad, going to university, meeting a lover and taking the leap and going all the way there, what have you. But yeah, so my recollection of how it came about is I always just describe it quite simply. I was about to graduate college. I was living in the Bay Area, finishing my undergraduate career, and you were in Spain teaching. And I remember it being super simple. I remember you hitting me up and being like, well, my visa is ending in Spain. I want to keep teaching. I've heard really cool things about Thailand. What do you think? Would you want to go? And that's my recollection. Maybe I have
Hell
no
yeah.
idea if I've.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because I remember I was like, I absolutely love Spain, loved teaching. And I was like, oh, I want to like see where else this can take me, something really outside of my comfort zone. So makes sense. I think my vision of Thailand was at that point in time, crystal blue water and beaches and parties. And, I loved Thai food. And that was pretty much it. We were like, that sounds amazing. Let's go.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think either of us knew a ton about
No.
Southeast Asia in general. And I just took the leap because you said it would be cool, basically. And you had also inspired me to study abroad in Spain. So I think we had already had some experiences being together outside of the US and traveling internationally together in those contexts. So it felt like a kind of a continuation of that journey together. And even more so, obviously, going to the East Asia, Southeast Asia, the whole new experience. So that's how I remember it. And on my end, I don't know, I felt really, our parents were so supportive of us growing up. And the vision was always go to college, get the college education. And the path that they had laid out for us ended there. And so it was the first time in my life that I didn't have the roadmap to what the next step was.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt so cool to just decide what I wanted to do. And this opportunity came to me, and my friends, it's interesting. I don't really remember feeling a lot of pressure from anyone, honestly, about getting like a real job or, starting some sort of corporate trajectory. And I'm so glad that, you asked me to do this. And I said, what else would I want to do but go travel right now?
Yeah.
And so I think I said yes before you even finished asking me.
Amazing. So we arrive in Thailand like late 2016 in the fall. And
Yep.
something crazy had happened in Thai history that would be very formative, or keep saying formative, would really shape our experience there. The monarch had passed away, and he had been their longest reigning monarch, super beloved. He was the king for 70 years, and he passed away 2 weeks before we arrived in Thailand. So luckily, before we left the US, we were informed that our uniform at school would be all black all year.
Which is 100% the antithesis of what usually it would be in Thailand. So Thailand is a Buddhist country, and as women, we were required to cover our shoulders and our knees and always wear a skirt.
Yeah.
With the exception of Fridays, in which we were able to wear we had the sports pants. I don't know. I always remember sports pants.
Yep. Yeah, it was like casual
not
Friday
leggings.
more.
Don't get confused. Not leggings.
No,
that would be far too conforming to the figure.
Correct. So it was super modest. The school uniform. I mean, teaching at a Thai school, I guess we may as well dive into that because that was a shock to the system. Very having to wear a skirt every day that was longer than our knees was something we were definitely not used to. The all black thing.
The piece that I didn't finish is about the colors. So not only is there the specifics about modesty, but the Thai folk are really, really vibrant in the way that they express themselves. And we had talked to other teachers, and we had gotten a sense from the school, and it would have been bright pinks and yellows and greens. And so it was a pivot big time and I had already, I don't know about you, but I remember that I had already purchased a bunch of cute, colorful, long skirts.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the context with which we arrived in the country, and the decor, like they decorated the whole country with draping black and
the country was in a year of mourning.
Mourning. Yeah.
And our school was a public school. And so any government employees were also mandated for a year of mourning. So that meant black outfits every single day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
which is
Which I actually don't hate. I mean, I love wearing black, and it didn't like bother me. It was just like so hot there that's like not the ideal color to be wearing when it's so sunny and
I
hot.
just remember it feeling so um meaningful, I guess,
Hmm.
because like you said, he was the longest reigning monarch. So every
Yeah.
single Thai person, like he reigned for 70 years. So every single living Thai person that we were there, that is the only king that they had ever known. And
Hmm.
we quickly learned how devout the Thai people are. So
Hmm.
in their hierarchy, it is Buddha, and right under Buddha is the king.
Hmm.
And that, from our perspective of living in a country, the US, which is the forming of our country, was such to have have our freedom and leave a monarch and the modern day democracy. So it couldn't be more distinct than the political climate from which we to come into a system that has a monarchy, and a
Hmm.
system in which religion and government are completely married.
Right.
And so to me, that was the craziest part. Every single morning at our school, we had a 45-minute morning ritual.
Hmm.
What do they call it?
Okay.
Morning ceremony?
Yes. Okay. Before you get into the morning ceremony, let's set the stage of like what a day in the life of teaching at the school was. So, Monday through Friday, this is our life. We wake up like before the morning ceremony, but we'll get to that because that's incredible and burned in our brains. So, we would wake up. What time did we have to be at school? Do you think
I
8
want to say it was
a.m.?
like 10, no, 7:25,
Oof,
7:35. It was
that's brutal.
early. And I
Okay. So,
remember this because I'm not a morning person.
yeah, neither of us are. So, we would wake up, have a little breakfast. I guess we can get into our living too.
Oh my
We
gosh, there's too
were,
much to cover.
I know. Okay, so we went through a program, which I recommend if you're going to a place that the language is super different and it's, a lot to navigate. But we went through a program that places you at a school and helps you find housing. They set us up at an apartment complex that was maybe like a 5 to 8 minute motorbike ride to our school, right?
Yeah, and my actual recollection is that the program set us up with our job. So they placed
Yeah.
us at the school,
Hmm.
and then the school, in the contract with the program, was responsible for connecting us with the housing. That's minutia, but
Got it.
interesting
Yeah.
stepping stones. So yeah, our school was the one who knew our landlord, Porn Tip. Yes, that is her
Yes.
real name.
Shout out Porn Tip. She was amazing. So we wake up in our apartment complex every morning really early,
We each had a studio apartment down the hall from each other.
which
So
was
maybe,
really
I think it was
chill.
5 doors down, if I recall correctly.
Something along those lines, right? And you would come to my place because we like set up our little quote unquote kitchen in there. We had a hot plate and a sink and a fridge. And we mostly ate out, but for breakfast I would make an egg and Pluma would make like French toast or something. Or banana pancakes.
Yep, it was rotated between the two.
Okay. Okay, so we'd have our little breakfast. Then we would go downstairs and we would exit this like giant apartment complex that had multiple buildings and like this whole community. We would kind of like go to the edge of it and catch our motorbike ride of the day. And there would be a place where the motorbike drivers would wait and we would just hop on the back in our skirts. A lot of Thai women side saddle the motorbike. And I was so scared that I felt like I was going to fall off. So I would like heave my leg over in my skirt, hang on for dear life, and we're zooming off to school.
And mind you, it's probably already 85 to 90 degrees with 70 to 80 to 90% humidity. So I'm getting my sticky leg over this motorbike taxi, this tiny little Thai man. And on our way to school with the humid heat
Yes.
through our hair.
Yeah, and like theoretically it wasn't that far of a walk, but like it
We
was
did it once.
so
Do you
hot.
remember? I
No.
low-key remember when we very first started, we were looking at the map and I was like, it's really not that far. It's like a 25-minute walk. And we did it the first day and you were like, I'm never doing that again. You're like, that is awful.
It is
And we never
so
did it again. And I agreed. It was the motorbike taxis were so affordable.
Yeah, it was maybe 20 baht, I think, which was the equivalent to a little bit less than $1, if I remember correctly, for a ride to school. Is that right? Do you think?
Yes, I think it was 20 baht each way. So yeah,
Okay.
I believe 30, was it 30 or 35 baht to the dollar at the time that
I
we
thought it
were
was only
there.
22 baht to the dollar. Am
No,
I
no, no.
wrong?
It was 30
Oh.
to 35.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I remember our goi tiao guy, the like chicken soup that we would have for dinner was 35 baht, and I was always like, it's $1.
It's
It's
$1.
$1. Yeah.
Unreal.
So yeah, we took motorbike taxis pretty much everywhere within our town, which is really cool. It's very common in all of Thailand, which is really cool because we became acquainted with that mode of transportation, which became super useful later. Because it does take, I think it took a little bit of confidence to know what those guys are up to, know that there is kind of a system involved. They kind of have stops where
Uh-huh.
they will congregate, where the motorbike taxi drivers will come back to pick up people, even though there's absolutely no signage, and even if there were, we can't read it. And and then also I think the coolest part that I remember from that era was the passing of information verbally between people. There's
Yes.
no we weren't using the internet to find out stuff. We learned from
No.
all the other expats that were living in our community.
Yeah, and
They were
shout
like
out, that was huge. That was huge for us. We
huge.
arrived in this town. So we were placed in a town called Chonburi, which is about an hour and a half drive southeast of Bangkok.
Yep. For
Um,
only probably 40 miles, but with the crazy Bangkok metro area, took a really long time to get there.
yeah, yeah. So how many expats do you think lived in Chonburi? Or like lived in our little like Lumpini, where our like condominium, our little
15 maybe?
yeah, so pretty small group of people, English teachers, expats that were living there.
Yeah.
And we arrived, and luckily there was a few people that had been there for a minute, and they were so welcoming, and they pretty much taught us everything we need to know about, like, this is how you catch a motorbike taxi. This is because yeah, like you said, if you looked on Google Maps, and I don't know if this is still the case, it might be, like, it was all in Thai, and that's impossible for us to
Not
read
even
those
just that, but
characters.
the roads. The
Right.
roads were not grid nor logical. Sometimes on the Google map it looks maybe not like a road, but there is a road there. It was just yeah. There just the you just need to learn how to do that. Like you just need that. And also we couldn't read the menus of food options.
Mhm.
So even just I think when people always ask me about the Thailand experience, like, oh, so do you speak Thai? And I said, I know my numbers and I know food.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know numbers, you can't buy a single thing because
Mhm.
every market that exists there is like a bartering economy.
Right.
And secondarily, I knew how to say food items because if you don't know, you don't eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's that simple. Or if you're willing to eat literally anything and like point at something random on a menu, which I wouldn't advise for a Western stomach.
So true. So true. So yeah, that was super helpful, that knowledge of, oh, this is, you go and you look for that but specific bus that has the 109 on it, and then you wait here, and then you like like having other English teachers or expats teach us you know the lay
And
of the
even the
land a little bit.
pricing, like I wouldn't say I never felt like we were going to get scammed. I know that I'm sure in the touristy areas, there's kind of what they call like the tourist tax where maybe
Hmm.
a like tuk-tuk ride that would usually cost, let's say 100 baht, they'll try to charge a tourist 300 baht, and the tourist doesn't know any better. And so that was also the shared knowledge within our town. That's no, the motorbike taxi is 20 baht. If he asks for 25, you tell him it's 20.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain sense of camaraderie and information sharing that was so critical to our success there. And we had
Yeah.
instant community with those folks because we have the shared culture and shared language.
Totally, totally. So that was very comforting. Obviously, we had each other, but that network, and yeah, I don't think, my understanding is like Thai culture doesn't. There's not a lot of that happening of like scamming tourists. Probably, yeah, like in some of the like super beachy, touristy areas. But generally, I feel like that happens in other places. So we would take our motorbike taxi to school. Then we would go to our classrooms, right? I was basically in a fourth grade classroom. You were in a third grade classroom.
Yeah.
And then the kids would get ready for the morning ceremony.
Yep. Sometimes we had gate duty where we would be required, I think it was maybe once or twice a month or
Uh-huh.
maybe every other week, something like that. We were required to go even earlier and basically stand at the opening gates of the school and welcome the students in,
Yes. And the students, basically, they Y to you,
which is a
and
bow.
they basically bring their hands to their forehead, and they bow in respect to you. They often do that to like also like the Buddha statue that was in the courtyard at the school. So they're there and they like pay respect to all of their teachers as they're entering. So you're kind of there to receive that. So that was cool as well.
Yes. I think the whole whying and bowing culture was very intense for me at first. I remember
Hmm.
each so within each of our grades, we were respectively responsible for the entirety of their English lessons.
Mhm.
So we taught English grammar, comprehension, and spelling or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I had maybe, was it 90 to 100 students in all
Right.
of each of the grades was around, let's say 100 students,
Mhm.
split up into 3 classes, and we would rotate throughout those classes throughout the day and had the respective schedule. And yeah, each class had what they called a captain, and the captain would start the class off and they go, please stand up. And they would all stand up at their cue, and then they would all bow and Y to the teacher together. Good morning, teacher Paloma. And I remember at first I was like, whoa,
Whoa.
that's a
Yes.
lot of power.
And all of the students are in the exact same uniform, and they all have government mandated haircuts as well. So they all have all of the boys have the exact same haircut, and all of the little girls have the exact same little bob. So that's quite a scene.
I mean, it's homogenous to the extreme.
Yeah.
Because there were no students, at least in my class, that were not 100% like everyone
Right.
was, there was no mixed race families.
I did have a
And-
student who was half American,
Oh,
actually,
yes.
and half Thai.
One out of 100.
Yes, yeah.
And I had 0.
So the morning starts out, the kids get in line. I'm pretty sure it's in height order. Didn't they line those kids up?
Tallest to smallest.
Tallest to smallest. And they get in a row, and then we march downstairs to this giant courtyard that's in the school, and all of the students in all of the grades are lined up by their classes, height descending, and they do this morning ceremony. And the morning ceremony contains... What does it contain? I'm waiting for you.
It has the King's Song,
Mm-hmm.
the national anthem, and then they chant the Buddhist prayers.
Yes.
And then sometimes they would tee that off with a little bit of morning exercise, and because the students didn't have any recess, which I remember being so sad to realize that, because these students, it was very, I think that there's a stereotype of East Asian countries that they are very rigid and very like academic focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that to be true, at least for us. I was like, my students are in classrooms from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. Some of them, their parents drop them off even earlier or come later, and they have like ancillary classes on top of that. And they get, I believe it was 30 or maybe 40 minutes total for all of lunch. And there was no designated recess component to that. So sometimes if they finished eating early, they would run around that little courtyard area, but there was no formal recess or formal playground or
no playground
way for them.
Yeah. And they did have swim lessons once a week. They had like a pool at the
I
school,
remember
but
that.
they had that for exercise. But yeah, the rigor of the workload for these kids was gnarly. Like you said, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. They a lot of times didn't get let go at 4 p.m. too. You and I were ready to go. I was like, I'm done at 4. You were waiting for me. And most of the time, my students were still stuck in their desk until their homeroom teacher excused them. And it could be way longer. So that's really intense. And then the other thing that I think both of us found a little bit shocking and intense is like the corporal punishment in school. So foreign teachers like us were not asked to and not allowed to use corporal punishment, nor did we want to. But all of their Thai teachers would use a lot of various forms of basically hitting these kids with rulers, sticks, with their hands. So that was like really gnarly and intense. I mean, I think our parents experienced that in U.S. school systems 50 years ago. But
our mom went to Catholic elementary school, I think. So big time, like nun smacking you energy.
So that's, something that definitely existed here, but in our lifetimes it did not. So that was a bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah, very intense. I mean, there was a lot of aspects of the experience that were quite intense for me. And another element that I always think is so interesting is that we were not the only foreign teachers that were working at this school. So there was, I would say, like 3 kind of cohorts. You have the Thai teachers who are each responsible for being the lead or the head of a class. Then there were all of the native English teachers who were either from the UK or from the US. So that would have been our cohort of folks. And then there was a third cohort of Filipino teachers, all of whom essentially were highly educated, who were trained as formal teachers in the Philippines and who migrated to Thailand because the job opportunities were more abundant and paid more. And so it was such an interesting contrast because you have these people who are like, this is my country, this is my culture, this is my language, this is where I live, this is my job. Then you have mostly super young, I would say undertrained. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even have a TEFL, which is a teaching English as a foreign language
Yeah.
certification. It wasn't required for Thailand. A lot of countries do require that certification. Thailand not being as maybe having as strong of an economy doesn't require that.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to, I know, like at least in the Asian context, Japan and Korea do. And so, yeah, I wanted to go to Thailand to travel and live abroad. I wasn't
Yeah.
moving there permanently. I had no intention of establishing a full life there. And that was so distinct from our Filipino colleagues who,
Yeah.
again, moved there for a better life, who moved there with their full families, their partner, their children, who
Who were supporting
building
families back home a lot of the time, sending
Yes.
money back home, which I don't think was the case for most of the US or UK folks. Like we were, just
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
the economics aren't there
Mhm.
either for that, right? Because we
Yeah.
were not the money that we were earning was more than plenty to live a very fun and fruitful life there, and
Mhm.
basically couldn't even pay a month's rent in any major US city
Right.
or even small US towns. I don't even think would have been enough to even just cover
Right.
the rent component of that. Likewise in the UK context. So yeah, from that perspective, very, very, very different. And they were older, much older than us in
Mhm.
most cases. And yeah, again, we're building lives there. All of the Filipinos were super Catholic. So on Sundays, they go to church and they have Sunday dinner with their families. And we were going to Bangkok to eat hamburgers and party.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so back to our just going through our daily routine has let us explore like all of these amazing aspects of our life.
And I feel like we might need to do a part 2.
We're going to have to because this is going long. But let's try to finish our one day in the life. Okay, so we go to morning ceremony. Then we teach our classes throughout the day. We have our schedule and we can get into what that experience was like. But we always went to lunch at the same place. And
Bua.
shout out Bua. She was the most amazing cook. She had a restaurant with her family and she was the main cook. And I would love to ask you a few of the things that we ate because I miss a lot of those foods a lot.
Sure. So I feel like we rotated between 5 to 6 different dishes.
Mm-hmm.
We loved to eat gayang, which
Gayang.
was roasted chicken.
Fire.
We would always pair it with khao niao, which
Mm-hmm.
is sticky rice that would come in the cute little like bamboo little pouch.
Cow.
So
Yeah,
why is
cow niao? Yeah. You're right. Cow niao is the sticky rice, and then sometimes we would have
Yes.
cow sawai, which is the non-sticky rice.
Right, it's like steamed white rice. It's khao sawai. Sawai means beautiful, so it means like beautiful rice.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes we would do fried rice. So pad
Cow pad.
Yeah.
Yep, we would have
And
that.
then she also, I remember, I will never forget when we learned that she had shrimp. And we were so excited. And
Gung.
exactly. So then we sometimes would get pad khao gung.
Mm-hmm.
Pad khao, yeah. So
Pad
so stir
khao.
fry, yeah, like the fried rice with shrimp. That was a fun dish. And we would always like somtam. We loved somtam.
Her somtam was so good.
Which is the green papaya salad that's really like in that super vibrant, acidic, spicy fish sauce.
And
dressing.
sometimes we had larb there too, didn't we?
Oh yeah. We would get lab.
Mm-hmm. Super good. And before we would get our lunch, we would always stop at the coffee shop that was right next to her
fish
restaurant.
Cafe.
The
Called
fish
Cafe that had fish tanks in it.
Yes. And it was so good. I would always get a frozen coffee drink that I would ask
made
for.
The best.
Oh, they were so good. So
like
mine
the
was
texture of those frappes was insane.
I feel like we would do like lit noi wan, which means like very little sweetness, right?
Again, we only learned to say the things out of necessity. I hated how many bags they used, so I said like, don't want a bag. I don't want a straw.
And Paloma would have.
Please.
Would you have a frozen Thai tea?
Okay, I circle between 3 different things.
Okay.
Sometimes I would get the green tea latte, like the frozen green tea latte, which is basically like a frozen matcha. Fire. And then they also did a frozen Thai tea. Also fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and again I would get like the chocolate one. I don't even know how she made that, but yeah, some sort of like chocolate frozen frappe situation. Very funny. At the time I didn't drink a lot of coffee, so I think that was the impetus behind not liking the coffee one that you
Yeah,
would
and
get.
I've always just been coffee girl. So mine was the frozen coffee drink that I had every day,
Yeah,
and I was
I would mix it
obsessed.
up. Actually, I was looking at photos and I saw I was thinking about my journey with matcha for whatever reason. And then I saw this picture. I was like, oh yeah, it's been my life a long time.
We were way ahead of the trend on matcha, I have to say.
Super, super trending.
Okay, so we would go have lunch, then we would finish out our day at 4. We would hop on a motorbike, head back to our apartments, and then we would grab a snack at 7-Eleven because 7-Eleven is like the refuge. When it's so hot outside, they air condition those beautiful 7-Elevens, and it's just such an important part of the escaping the heat and grabbing a snack. So we would always pop into 7-Eleven, grab
Or sometimes get like a smoothie. There was that smoothie guy that kind of posted up. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, the smoothies were fresh fruit smoothies. We would
And
either
you could
have
just
that.
choose whichever fruits you wanted in it. There was no like predetermination with that.
A lot of times,
or fresh fruit, just a cup of pineapple.
Yep. Yeah. So we'd have a little afternoon snack, either a little bit of fresh street food or 7-Eleven snack. And then we would do a HIIT workout outdoors in our little courtyard.
Yeah. There was actually a gym in our apartment complex.
Once in a while, we would hit
there was
the
no
gym.
aircon in there.
Yeah. That was the problem. It was so hot. So I feel like once in a while we would go do laps because there was a pool at the apartment complex, but we didn't love the gym because it was so hot. We're like, we may as well work out outside. And we did, but it was still so hot, but we were in the best shape ever. We were doing HIIT workouts 5 days a week, gnarly jumping rope and doing gnarly stuff that you do when you're whatever.
Shout out AJ,
25.
one of our expat friends. He is this guy from Lithuania who was teaching in our town, and he was super, and I think still is super into health and wellness and fitness, and he actually offered to basically guide our workouts. So I think for a lot of times he would give us different routines and different sets of different activities to do. So sometimes we do it in a group with a bunch of us. Sometimes obviously we can't coordinate that. We would just do it on our own. But I think it was inspiring and helped us that we had other people to do it with and could learn new fun, what do you call it, moves.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we would go get our dinner. We would walk really close to where we lived, a couple blocks
right
over.
Outside of our apartment complex was a big main street with a bunch of street food.
Ton of street food. And we kind of found what we liked and stuck with it for whatever reason. I think some of the reasons are like stomach stuff. It's always a battle in Thailand, like for us to be used to the spice level, and then just exposure to things. So we found this soup that we were obsessed with. And Tom, do you remember? You remember what it was called?
Goi tiao guy.
Goi tiao. Yeah. But it was a woman. I don't know why you're saying guy.
Guy means chicken.
Oh, guy. I was like, the goi tiao guy. I was like, but a woman served us. Yes, goi tiao guy served by the soup woman.
Soup lady, yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So we would always get that, and it was delicious. Very pho, a light broth with chicken and rice noodles and lime and toppings, right?
Yep.
And sometimes we would get fresh fruit to go along with that. We would like kind of
mango
curate our
sticky
meal.
rice.
Mango sticky rice was fire. We were obsessed with these sausages, but we realized they were making us sick, so we had to cut out of the diet. But they were so good, these amazing street sausages. But that was unfortunate. So then we would have dinner, and then we would relax and get ready for another long day. Yeah. So the rigor of working at a Thai school was pretty intense, I would say. It was pretty full on.
Yeah. And I think the element is I had never taught before, much less to English, much less to students who, have a completely different culture and language. And our school didn't have any curriculum support for us. So
it was up to
us. After dinner, after dinner, I'd be like, oh my God, like, what am I going to teach my students tomorrow? Let me whip something up for them.
And I think I found that a little bit easier because I had been teaching English in Spain for a couple of years before. Of course, it was different. I was working more as a language assistant, but I was teaching private lessons and stuff. So I had a lot of ideas of, what a lesson could be and like a little bit more structure when it came to that. But still, it was kind of crazy that they were like, do whatever. You're like, okay, great.
Here you go. Good luck out there. Yeah. Crazy. So I'm going to take this moment to pause here, and I think we will have to do a part 2.
Part 2 coming.
Listening to first day in the life of our experience in Thailand. It's so interesting having this conversation and seeing how much truly is there, and just the true, I don't know, the depth of how different that lifestyle was for us and how formative it was. So we're
Yeah.
excited to bring you a little bit more of that, and hope you all enjoyed learning a little bit more about us and our experiences together as sisters doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Part
So
2, we'll dive into what our weekends looked like because it was a little different.
yeah, I think it's a good foil to the rest. And
Yes.
yeah, and our social life, and yeah, some of the travels that we got to do, weekends and holiday breaks and stuff like that. So yes, we'll get into more.
Awesome.
So as always, we would like to leave you all with our recommendation of the week. So Teacher, sister girl,
This week, I'm
you got?
recommending a food item.
Ooh.
I've been hopping on the tinned fish train. Yes, as a little I've made a little plate and I was like, oh, this is so good. I've seen a lot of them on TikTok. People, of course, tinned fish, not new to people from Portugal or Spain or, what have you. But I think they've made a splash again as
They
being like
have.
a trendy food in our country. And I'm a big fan, actually. I made a plate that was sardines. I put a
Okay.
little bit of hot chili oil on them. I roasted some potatoes, did some asparagus, little toast to kind of put the sardines on, some little chopped tomatoes. And it's just like a really, really nice way to enjoy protein that you don't have to cook. You just open a can. It's pretty amazing. And if you like that, my husband was completely disgusted when I told him about this meal that I had for my little girl dinner. And he was like, oh, I'm so glad I wasn't around for that. But so I do think
he doesn't even like untinned fish though. So.
Yes, he doesn't love salmon. So we judge him for that. But yeah, if you're interested, I want to try like different combinations, but like a little snack plate, it was absolutely delightful.
I love that recommendation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Would you like it? Do you? Does that
I don't
hit
like
for you?
tuna salad. I don't like
Yeah,
any,
see, I love tuna.
Yeah. I don't know, tinned fish in any format. I don't know if is my jam. I've had it. There's a lot of trendy restaurants in New York City that will have some sort of they'll do a charcuterie or like a board with the tinned fish or like on a crostini situation. And yeah, it's very oily. And I don't know. But I would
It's a
try
strong
it.
flavor. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a stigma for a reason around. You either
Sure.
like it or you don't, I think. And I do think a lot of people, older people in our society, have the association with it that it's what they ate when they were poor kind of vibe.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, food stamp food of, some sort of like pre-rationed can or something you would get when you're like in the military or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But there's so many beautiful ones out there. A lot of really nice brands that are doing nice gourmet tinned fish. So
Indeed they are.
if
Those,
tickles your
I would
fancy,
try one of those on a board that you would make for me.
I would do that. And what are you recommending to our audience this week?
Yeah. This week I am recommending a creator that I have been following for, I feel like maybe since I was traveling abroad, so maybe a year or more. Their handle is at a1234 music, and yeah, it's just this young guy who's a big music head, and he creates these little videos where he recommends unique musicians to check out. And I think his focus in my experience has been a lot of global music. And I just love the music that he recommends.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've gotten so many of the artists who I started following in the last year and a half have been from his page, truly, or people who I discovered when I was in Argentina. 3 months later, I would see them recommended on his page. And I love that. He's kind of bringing some of the like up and coming artists from various countries to the forefront, at least to his audience. I think is British just based on his accent. There's not a lot about him on the internet outside of just his profiles that exist. But yeah, if you're into music and want to find more music, find more interesting stuff, I highly recommend his page, his Instagram. So
That's
follow
awesome.
along.
Yeah. Love a curator with taste.
That's right. Stuff. And short, spiffy, to the point, cool pictures, graphics, love.
Oh, nice. Can't wait to check him out.
Yeah, he actually did a little series recently for Coachella. He was like, this is one of the artists I'm like, he did maybe 4 or 5 videos.
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
This artist I can't wait to check.
I did send you that. Didn't I?
Or did I send it to you?
Oh, always the question.
Chicken and egg.
But I'm ready for a deep dive on his page.
Yes. Yeah, so the videos he did for Coachella was just the artists who he was super excited to check out, obviously highlighting folks that were not headlining.
Totally.
Yes. Sweet. Well, that
Awesome.
was a jam-packed episode, everyone. Thank you for listening in as always. Please like and subscribe. We're so happy to have you here and to continue to be able to bring you all some more episodes.
Have a beautiful week, y'all, and we'll see you next time.